evening because we have it's an extraordinary meeting of our cabinet government. Now we sign this.
I think we sign this, and we give brief comments, and then we sign it.
Okay, good. You are of course. African policy is women power and power. They just met Madame Zuma.
Madame Zuma, the
And
chairwoman of the...
and I talked about the most charming women in Africa.
Oh,
And
that's
now I'm
wonderful.
meeting you.
That's a lucky day for you.
So I have to change my mind. Young women in power.
Okay, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this signing ceremony for the tripartite agreement on the network of excellence on land governance in Africa. My name is Stephen Karinge, and I'll be moderating this session. For the next few minutes, we are going to listen to three statements, starting with the statement of our Deputy Executive Secretary, Madam Giovanni Biha, after which I'll give the floor to His Excellency Minister Gerd Müller, and then I'll give the floor after that to the Vice President of the World Bank, Joachim von Amsberg. So, Madam DES, you have the floor.
Thank you very much.
And you can sit, please.
Maybe standing, encourage us to be brief.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Gerd Müller, Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, Federal Republic of Germany. Dr. Joachim von Amsberg, Vice President, Development Finance, the World Bank Group. Dear colleagues, on behalf of Dr. Carlos Lopez, the USG and Executive Secretary of ECA, and on behalf of the leadership of the African Union Commission and the African Development Bank, the institutions that together with ECA comprise the Land Policy Initiative, let me welcome you to this signing ceremony. This partnership with the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development of the Federal Republic of Germany and the World Bank will be crucial in supporting training and research on land governance in Africa. In building this partnership with the BMZ and the World Bank, we are responding to a very well-articulated call in the African Union Agenda 63 to enhance and sustain investments in higher education, science, technology, and research. Agenda 2063 rightfully refers to Africa's human resources capital as the most precious resource that must be harnessed to realize Africa's aspirations for a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. This partnership, which will expand postgraduate education and enhance capacities for research in African universities and other institutions, will address a critical gap in land governance in Africa. It seeks to ensure that our land professionals leaving universities and other institutions of learning are better able to respond to Africa's land governance challenges and realities. As you know, the AU framework and guidelines on land policy in Africa and guiding principles on large-scale land-based investments, as well as the UN voluntary guidelines on the responsible governance of the tenure of land, fisheries, and forests, all remind us of the need to strengthen data systems, mechanisms, and institutions for tracking progress in order to improve land tenure, security, and reduce marginalization of women and local communities. by improving our capacity to monitor and evaluate interventions against clear goals and targets set in the land sector. This support will greatly advance the implementation of the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Programme and the 2014 Malabo Declaration on Accelerated Agriculture Growth and Transformation for Shared Prosperity and Improved Livelihoods. It will ensure that we remain on course to achieve our goals. In concluding, I would like to thank you once again and reiterate ECA's commitment within the tripartite framework that includes the AUC and the FDB to work closely with you in implementing this agreement. We'll also work with you to carefully explore opportunities and implement joint activities that advance the implementation of the AU Declaration on Land Issues and Challenges in Africa. I thank you again for being here and welcome to the ECA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam DES. Now I'll give the floor to His Excellency Dr. Gerd Müller, the Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development of the German federal government.
Thank you very much. Unser Ziel ist, die Armut und die Mangelernährung der Menschen in der Welt zu beenden. Stop poverty till 2030.
Our goal is to end poverty and malnutrition for the people of the world. We want to stop poverty by 2030.
Die afrikanischen Länder und der Kontinent insgesamt kann sich nicht nur selbst ernähren aufgrund des großen Potenzials, sondern war in früheren Jahrzehnten auch imstande zu exportieren. Gerade Äthiopien war eine Kornkammer Afrikas. Und an diese erfolgreiche Entwicklung wollen wir im Bereich der Landwirtschaft anknüpfen.
The countries of Africa and the continent on the whole are not only able to feed themselves in view of their great potential, but for several decades were also capable of exporting food. Especially Ethiopia was the breadbasket of Africa. And now we want to build on that development in the area of agriculture.
Vor 6 Jahren startete ich hier in Äthiopien in Kolumsa ein Projekt, wo wir mit dem äthiopischen Staat einen Agrarbetrieb, eine Farm umsetzen, wo wir innerhalb von 5 Jahren die Produktivität bei Weizen- und Kartoffelanbau verdoppelt haben. Und wie kann dies gelingen? Dies ist ein Modell, ein Projekt, auf dem wir aufbauen können für das ganze Land, nicht nur für Äthiopien, sondern für viele afrikanische Länder und Regionen mit spezifischen Antworten. Die deutsche Bundesregierung, mein Ministerium, wir setzen hier einen Schwerpunkt und werden in den nächsten 12 Monaten 12 grüne Innovations- und Exzellenzzentren umsetzen.
6 years ago, when I was in Ethiopia, I launched a project in Kolumsa, where together with the Ethiopian state, we launched a farm where within 5 years we succeeded in doubling productivity for wheat and potatoes. So the question is, how was that done? This is a model that can be built on for the entire country, not only for Ethiopia, but also for other African countries and regions, where we can find very specific solutions. And that is why the German government and why my ministry are placing a focus here. And over the next 6 months, we will be establishing 12 green centers of excellence.
Ich bedanke mich bei allen Beteiligten, natürlich auch bei der Weltbank, Und damit wird deutlich, dass es nicht nur ein bilaterales, sondern wir wollen die Experten der Welt vernetzen auf dem Sektor Research und Ausbildung in grünen Bereich, in den grünen Bereichen und dies auf bestimmte Schwerpunkte konzentrieren.
I would like to express my gratitude to all concerned, especially to the World Bank, because this shows that it's not just a bilateral project. Rather, what we want to build up is a network of experts from across the world in the fields of research and training in all the green agricultural sectors, and we want to focus there on specific priorities.
Es ist nicht nur notwendig, die Landbevölkerung auszubilden, sondern für den Erfolg sind Voraussetzungen in der Gesetzgebung umzusetzen. Und um das geht es in der ersten Linie bei unserem Exzellenzzentrum. Agrarfachleute in der Rechtsetzung, Politiker in der Rechtsetzung, den ländlichen Raum betreffend auszubilden, weiterzubilden, ihnen Erfahrungen zu vermitteln.
Because what we need to do is not only provide training for the rural population, what we need to do in order for this process to be successful is work also on the legal framework, especially by providing a network of experts to provide advice to agricultural persons to get involved in legislation, and for politicians who are involved in agricultural legislation, they need to be provided with training and they need to be provided with experience.
Und unsere Regierungen, die Regierungen in Afrika, müssen Voraussetzungen schaffen und auf die Fragen eine Antwort in der Gesetzgebung geben, wem gehört das Land? Wer kann Land kaufen? Den Zugang zu Landrechten rechtssicher regeln, auch und gerade für Frauen. Dazu gehören auch technische Fragen. Wie grenze ich Landrechte ab? Das Thema der Landvermessung, das Thema zu planen, Landnutzungsplanung und vieles mehr. Hier vernetzen wir unsere Experten mit Europa, mit Deutschland, Afrika und der Weltbank. Und ich freue mich auf die Zusammenarbeit. Dies soll ein Center of Excellence werden, ein Exzellenznetzwerk, das den Sitz bei der Afrikanischen Union bei Ihnen hat, aber für alle 54 afrikanischen Staaten sozusagen eine Basis ist für Beratung und für Fortbildung und für Rechtsetzung im Bereich der Landpolitik.
Our governments and the governments in Africa now want to lay the groundwork for work in this area, because the answers have to be found in legislative terms, the answers to who owns the land, who can buy land, how can we secure land access, land tenure, and that applies also and in particular to women. It also includes technical questions, how is land divided up, land surveying, land use plans, etc., etc. So what we are doing is bringing together a network of experts from Europe, from Germany, from Africa, from the World Bank. And I look very much forward to our cooperation on this because what we want to build up is a centre of excellence, a network of excellence. It will be headquartered in the African Union, but it is to provide a centre for all 54 African countries for advice, for training in legislative questions and on questions of land policy.
So let me thank you very much. You again, I'm looking forward, and I'm very pleased to be here and to sign today this contract together with you both here at the table. Thank you.
Schön, nice.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'll now give the floor to the Vice President of the World Bank, Dr. Joachim von Amsberg.
Thank you. Dear Prime Minister Müller, dear Giovanni Beha from ECA, it's a pleasure to represent the World Bank here at this signing ceremony, which is evidence of the strong partnership and collaboration between the African Union, UNECA, the African Development Bank, and the World Bank with the government of Germany in this area of land policy. You, Minister Müller, have launched this A World Without Hunger initiative, which has been your brainchild, recognizing that the pressures of increased population and fixed food and fuel demands require new thinking on several dimensions. It requires recognition that access to food is not only an economic issue, but it's a fundamental dignity issue for people. Second, it highlights that for countries to put in place policies to provide broad-based access to food and other amenities, local capacity and policy dialogue are critical. The network of excellence on land governance that we are launching here today, together with similar initiatives supported by Germany, aims to put in these principles into practice, and by doing so, hopefully leverage much larger investments by many partners in development. Let me just mention a few examples for the importance of this initiative. One, smallholder productivity. In many parts of Africa, population growth and demand by outsiders threatens smallholders and communities' tenure security, precluding investment, effective land use, soil conservation and rehabilitation. So securing land rights is often a precondition for smallholders to plan land use, unlocking this potential, and the network that we'll talk about here will make an important contribution to this agenda. Second example, large-scale land-based investments. A lack of information has led to a rather polarized discourse rather than an evidence-driven debate on what type of contractual arrangements can work, how to identify responsible and capable investors, how to hold them to account, and if needed, ensure that non-performing ventures do not tie up valuable land in speculative non-productive uses. Work of the World Bank linking statistical and investment agencies has already provided important inputs into this debate in Ethiopia and elsewhere, and will be expanded under this network. Third example, gender. In many African rural areas, gender inequality remains high, with weak land ownership often being a key factor to this inequality. The case of land tenure regularization in Rwanda highlights the catalytic role that land ownership can play in economically empowering women. They also highlight that careful piloting and concurrent monitoring will be essential to prevent unintended negative consequences whereby women could lose out. So we expect again that this network can help replicate this positive experience elsewhere in Africa. Fourth and last example is urban expansion and the domestic revenue generation, linking very closely to the topic that's actually at the core of the Financing for Development conference that we're all participating in here. Well, there's a lot of debate about urbanization in Africa as being different from elsewhere in the world. A common factor is that there's ample scope to use land assets and property taxes creatively to generate domestic resources for local governments and ensure that increases in land values benefit the public at large. And this will be one of the potential areas of emphasis for the network. So by creating technical and analytical capacity, fostering policy dialogue and exchange of experience, by helping generate the data to effectively define strategies and monitor progress in implementing them, the network can create the preconditions for institutions like the World Bank to design and implement larger investments in this area to achieve real change for men and women on the ground, wherever that matters. So we want to congratulate Germany for having taken this initiative, which we wholeheartedly support, and we hope that as we take this forward, it will resonate not only in our client countries, but will also resonate with development partners so that together we can contribute to ensuring that one of the most basic resources, land, generates benefits for all. I think as the comments by the Minister and by the Deputy Executive Secretary show, we're all keen to bring our different comparative strengths, our knowledge, our financial resources, our research together to make progress on better land policies.
Financial resources.
Well, I've said there's an important link between the policy agenda,
Something new.
the policy agenda, and the investments that the World Bank finances.
Okay.
These are closely linked. I mean, the World Bank is all about connecting research, knowledge, policy with the investments we are financing, and that's where financial resources come into play. So that's why for us these partnerships are really important, because we want to make sure that they help make our financial investments more productive and increase their return.
Okay.
So I really want to thank both of you and look forward to a very productive partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we will.
You will be the head of this.
The head of the center.
Right there.
I want to make sure you don't say in your own.
So the last page of the agreement in front of you is where you be signing the last page. And if you agree, your respective officers could initiate the other pages after you sign. You don't have to after you sign it. Yeah.
Where is it located, this center? Is there
It's just
an
next
office in
It's an office.
Yes?
It's an office. Yes. I think you have some. Yes, this one. It's an office.
Now we will close with picture taking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where should they look now?
Okay, thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you very much.
And this, that is the director. You are the director.
Yes.
The head of the center. You are? Dann nehmen wir noch ein Foto mit dir, Pictures on Picture.
Oh, yes.
Motivation picture.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we start working today?
Already starting since quite some time. Okay, so